All BO3 Wallbuy weapons ranked worst to best. I'm going to be ranking these weapons based on purely how effective they are and how useful they are. Not necessarily how much damage they do, but just again overall usefulness and how well they can help you in the game. Coming in at number 17, we have the ICR 9. This weapon is about as useful as a liberal arts degree. The damage is not impressive and it feels like I'm shooting Tic Tacs. On top of that, the accuracy is horrendous and it's just not even fun to use. Coming in at number 16, we have the Pharaoh. This weapon is basically if the ICR 9 had a burst option. It sounds like a turnstile and it feels like it's made of plastic. Coming in at number 15, we have the Shiva. This weapon is very underwhelming as well. The only reason it's above the Pharaoh and ICR 9 is that it's only 500 points, and at the beginning of the game, you can use it to rack up a decent amount of points. At number 14, we have the Locust. This weapon is only available on the Zombies Chronicles Nocturne Totem remaster, at least as a Wallbuy. Obviously, the gun itself is pretty high damage. It's decent. However, it costs 5,000 points, and for that reason, it's not going to be very useful because, let's be honest, who's going to want to dish out 5,000 points for a Locust? At number 13, we have the Argus. Excuse this foul Revelations gameplay. This weapon has good damage. It's a slug type shotgun, so obviously it would, but I honestly don't think I've ever seen anyone buy it in a game of zombies. It's a little bit clumsy and it's just okay for points, but I went ahead and placed it above the Locust because it's available on more maps and it costs way less. Number 12, the M8A7. This is another weapon that I don't think I've ever seen anyone buy in a game of zombies. While it is technically a very powerful weapon, it's not very fun to use, and it's completely forgotten. Like, this gun is always tucked away somewhere, some weird back corner of the map that no one's ever heard of. Alright, number 11. Now, hold on. Before you kill me, yes, it's the Tommy gun. Let me explain. This weapon is obviously really fun to use. It's great for points. I mean, it's not very powerful, but, you know, we don't really expect it to be. But by the time you can actually, like, get this weapon, there are already so many other weapons that you've had to buy because it's just so far deep in the map that it's pretty much useless. Now, if we're talking about Mob of the Dead, this gun is, like, a top 2 Wallbuy. This weapon is amazing, but on BO3, I'm gonna have to say it's not the best. Number 10, the VMP. This is where the ranking starts to get really difficult because at this point, pretty much all these weapons are good and useful, but it just sort of comes down to personal preference. Now, the reason I have the VMP as the lowest of all the rest of the Wallbuys is that I feel like it doesn't do that much damage. Like, the Vesper and the Kuda they definitely feel more powerful, and I usually find myself gravitating towards the Vesper or Kuda way more than the VMP. So I'm gonna have to put it at the back end of the rest of this list here. Number 9, we've got the Kuda. It's really difficult to place the Kuda, Vesper, and VMP because they're all really similar weapons in my eyes, similar effectiveness. I just feel like the Kuda is a little bit more powerful than the VMP, like I mentioned before. They're all about the same price range though, so it's really hard to say. And they all have about the same availability on the map, so really, these three are just really, really close. Number 8, the Vesper. My rationale for placing this above the Kuda and VMP is mainly that you can get to it before the Kuda in most cases, and you know, it's about in the same place as a VMP on most maps, and it feels more powerful than the VMP. So really, I feel like it's deserving of the best sort of SMG Wallbuy. Not to mention, I do have a bit of a personal bias to prefer the Vesper. I'm trying not to let that affect my placement though, so I really do feel like this is a fair placement. Next, we got the MP40. This weapon is invaluable on Origins. This is the weapon everybody goes for right when they get in no man's land. It's the first thing you're thinking about. You got to get that MP40 because if you don't get it, then you are screwed. There's no chance of recovery unless you've already hit the box in Generator Station 2, unless the box isn't there. The MP40 is just the way you got to go. It's powerful. It gets you a lot of points. It's beautiful. It feels great. It sounds great. It's just a great weapon overall. Number 6, the ICR. This might seem like a bit of a weird placement because it is a powerful gun, it's an assault rifle, but again, it's sort of a problem of placement. Most of the time I feel like with this gun, it's placed in sort of a weird spot where, again, you're not going to think about it, and almost no one ever buys it. The KN-44 and the HVK are always presented before it, or in somewhere more convenient anyways, and so generally when you're thinking about, you know, you're going to buy an assault rifle in your zombies game, you're not really thinking about the ICR, even though it is still a great weapon, and I still like it a lot. You're usually thinking about the HVK or the KN-44. Also, it has less ammo than both of those weapons, so for those reasons, I'm gonna have to put it right outside of the top 5 at number 6. Still a good weapon though. At number 5, we got the Bowie Knife. This weapon is amazing. I mean, this weapon can get you so many points. It's incredibly useful. I have it placed above all those other weapons just solely because of how useful it is, how many points you can get. I mean, this used to be my go-to strategy on Zetsubo. I used to save up, get 3,000, get the Bowie Knife. It was amazing. It can set you up for so much in the game. And for that reason, I'm gonna have to put it at number 5. Number 4, I have the RK5. Now, let me explain. Earlier in the video, at the beginning of the video, I explained my criteria, and it was that the weapons were going to be ranked in terms of usefulness. Well, the RK5, right off the bat, of course, if you have completed all the Easter eggs on BO3, or I think just Revelations actually, you get the RK5 every time you spawn in. You just spawn in with it. But back in the day before we had that, buying the RK5, 500 points was the go-to strategy. I just remember Shadows of Evil always getting it to take out the Margos when they would spawn when you're doing the rituals. RK5 is a great weapon. It's only 500 points, get a lot of points with it as well. It's just a great weapon. It's fantastic, and I think it deserves a number 4 spot. Next, we have the Crrism. This weapon is a powerhouse. It's like you can get the power of the Haymaker and the Brecci without having to hit the box and hope for the best. I mean, this weapon is truly special. Pack-a-Punch, this weapon is like, it can save you when you're stuck in a corner. I mean, a lot of assault rifles and SMGs can't do that. This was the go-to when you're doing the Der Eisendrache Easter egg. It was great in that boss fight. I mean, it's a great weapon. I know it, you know it, we all know it. It's number 3. Number 2, the KN-44. It was really hard to place these last 2 weapons. Honestly, you could probably rank them, you know, either or, but I'm just trying my hardest to think objectively, and I think the KN-44 deserves a number 2 spot. It's a great weapon, it's really powerful, it's got a decent amount of ammo, it's fun to use. I mean, obviously it's an iteration of like the AK-47. It's a great weapon, and I think you guys all know what number 1 is. Number 1, it's the HVK. Is there anything else that could have been number 1? We all know the HVK. We've all bought it. It's all the first weapon we leveled up to max level. Everyone loves this gun. It's a Wallbuy on pretty much every main BO3 map. You can get dead wire on it, or back in the day you used to get blast furnace pre-patch and all that stuff. And it could take you to high rounds, and it can do all that stuff. It was really fun to use. It's good damage. It has a lot of ammo. It has more ammo than the KN-44 and ICR. It's a cool looking weapon too. It's pretty unique. And it's just the HVK. It's the go-to assault rifle. You've got this gun. You've got it packed. It's your secondary along with your wonder weapon. We all know it. If you watched all the way into the end of the video, I really appreciate you. If you have any thoughts about the weapon placements, just let me know in the comments. It might generate an interesting dialogue. Also, liking the video would do me a huge favor as it helps the algorithm, and I'm just starting out here, so anything helps really. Hope you guys have a great day.